Welcome in everybody to Season 19 of Apex. We got a brand new legend, Conduit. Let's get into it. Before we get into Conduit's abilities, I do want to mention that Conduit is a support legend, so she'll have access to that extended supply bins and the ability to craft ally banners. For Conduit, we have the passive of Save Your Speed, the tactical of Radiant Transfer, and the ultimate of the Energy Barricade. Moving into Conduit's passive, this passive is a speed boost when running towards allies who are out of range of your tactical. I find it similar to Bangalore's Double Time, a similar speed and for a similar duration. Just giving you that little extra speed boost when running towards allies when they aren't close to you. And while this ability isn't bad, I feel like it's more niche than Bangalore's is, and is going to be used in less important circumstances. You can use Bangalore's when you're in trouble, when you're in battle, being shot at, and this is just more used to get towards your allies if you're far away from them, which you really shouldn't be as a support legend. Moving on to Conduit's tactical, Radiant Transfer. This allows her to blast her allies with energy, healing their shields temporarily, and it's pretty effective. This ability quickly heals up your allies' shields or even your own, and allows you in the midst of a battle to regenerate that shield without having to fully heal and continue to push your enemies or get back in the fight quicker than you would have been able to otherwise. This ability can be fairly strong, allowing you to have extra health essentially. However, it's only as strong as your shield, so if you only have a white shield, it's not going to be as strong as if you have, for example, a red shield, because there's not as much for this ability to heal up. There's a couple of things I do want to note about this ability. It won't overheal your shield, so if you already have a full shield, it's not going to give you extra health or extra hit points that you can use in battle. Another thing to notice is that once it hits the max that it can heal for your shields, it won't continually heal despite it having a longer time length for the ability. So if you have a white shield, and as you're doing damage and it's already healed up your full white shield, you get to a blue shield, it won't heal that extra one cell of blue health because it's already healed your full white shield. The last thing you should know about this ability is that it doesn't need line of sight to be activated. You can shoot through walls with it, you can shoot through barricades, just make sure you're within range and you can heal your allies' shields and your own. Moving on to Conduit's ultimate ability, the Energy Barricade. This drops a display of shield jammers in a line that'll both damage and slow your enemies. For every second that your enemies are in this ability, they will take 10 damage and it will severely slow them, similar to like a Bangalore ult. This will make them very easy targets, especially for like marksman weapons, if they're off in a little far range, like a G7 Scout or a 30-30. Or if you want to get closer range with like an assault rifle, you can easily pick them off as they won't be able to move fast and get out of this ability. This ability is currently indestructible. Your enemies can't shoot it to destroy it, so that is not a way they can escape it. I think the way this ability will be most effective is if you use it to shut down chokes, stop enemies from following you, or use it in buildings to really slow down enemies that are in that building and make the fight a lot better for your teammates. Because unlike like a fuse ult, when you use it in a building, this won't hurt you or your teammates and will not slow you or your teammates. So it'll give you severe advantage if you can get your enemies in this shield jammer section while you and your teammates are just running around freely. The Energy Barricade can also be dropped behind enemies, especially if they only have one avenue out to escape. This will prevent them from escaping or at least make it a lot harder for them to get away, especially if they're in a bad fight. Something you do need to be wary of when placing this is slight elevation changes will throw off this line of shield jammers. So if it's just flat ground, it'll display in that line and they'll all be connected, forcing the enemy to go over them with an ability or a jump tower. However, if it is on different elevations, if there's obstacles in the way, there will be different sections of the shield jammers and they won't all be connected, allowing the enemy to easily walk through sections if this is the case. This ultimate does have a fairly long duration, so if you find alt excels or an alt charge tower, you are able to get out two of the ultimate at the same time. It won't dissipate the first one, and this can allow you to block off 2 sections of area or punish 2 different teams at the exact same time. It does have a fairly long charge time of 2.5 minutes, so there will be quite a bit of cooldown in between when you use them. All in all, I think this ultimate is fairly strong. However, it will take some getting used to, as that line display is fairly different from most ultimates in the game. Overall, I think Conduit has a fairly strong kit, despite her passive being fairly underwhelming. The strength of her tactical and ultimate make up for this, with her tactical being useful in every fight you're going to be in, and her ultimate having a lot of different scenarios in which it can really bring a lot of value to the table. I do think that if her power level ends up being too strong, her energy barricades might get a destroyable feature, much like a caustic barrel. But at this point, I think she's a pretty strong legend who will see a fair amount of play in both ranked and potentially even a little bit in ALGS, just based off the healing abilities alone. I appreciate you guys taking the time to watch this video, and if you enjoyed it, remember to like and subscribe.